The Ford Focus, one of the most familiar sights on British roads. Now into its third generation, it's still vying for class honours. It's a more mature proposition than before, if perhaps slightly less fun to drive. However, there's something different about this particular Focus. It's only got a 1 litre engine. That's right, the engine in this Focus is just 1 litre in capacity, and only 3 cylinders as well. That might sound absurd, but Ford really is serious. This model replaces the old 1.6 petrol engine, a key model in the range in terms of sales volumes. It needs to be good. Let's look at the engine for a change. What's going on here? Well, Ford are using the very latest technology to harness all the benefits of a small engine, low weight, low emissions, low fuel consumption, and yet retain, if not exceed, the performance of the old 1.6 litre petrol engine Focus. This engine is very, very small. The block is about the size of an A4 sheet of paper, and yet thanks to a turbocharger and direct fuel injection, it's exceptionally powerful for its size. So what are the numbers? Like the old 1.6, the new 1 litre EcoBoost is available in 100 and 125 horsepower versions. This is the 125 version, but the key number is to do with pulling power. This car has up to 148 pounds-foot of torque, developed from very low revs. The old 1.6 made just 117 pounds-foot of torque, and even that wasn't available until a fairly noisy 4,000 RPM. On the road, that means this 1 litre EcoBoost actually feels more powerful than the old 1.6. With 6 gears, unlike the old 5-speed gearbox, you can really let this engine pull from very low revs and you still get a good response. In fact, it makes for very relaxing progress, and the uninformed, they'd never guess that there was just 999cc under that bonnet. The other thing you notice is how smooth and quiet the engine is, in fact often all but inaudible. Officially, this Focus has a combined fuel figure of 56.5 miles per gallon, nearly 10 miles per gallon better than the old 1.6 Focus, and a similar gap over the current Vauxhall Astra 1.6 petrol or the VW Golf 1.4 turbo, both cars that offer similar power outputs to this Focus. And with only 114 grams of CO2 emitted, it sits in road tax band C, not F, like say the Astra or the Golf, meaning a £100 saving per year in tax. As we've already said, although the Mark III Focus isn't quite as sporty to drive as its predecessor, the 1 litre EcoBoost with less weight over the front wheels feels livelier and keener to change direction. It also has a really nice sophisticated ride quality, marred perhaps slightly here by the optional 18-inch alloy wheels. Overall, it's a nice place to spend time. The only real disappointments are this small infotainment screen and a rather scattergun approach to some of the buttons. This Titanium X specification 1 litre EcoBoost sits at the top of the range and costs £20,945, or a substantial £24,265 with the extras added to this particular car. Even so, the Focus has a generous standard specification, and that list price is comparable with a slightly more generously equipped Kia Ceed and still undercuts a comparable Golf 1.4 TSI. It might seem impossible, but Ford really has succeeded in making a 1 litre engine power a large family hatchback with ease. In the process, it's cut fuel consumption and emissions, but it has also created a Focus that's quieter and more enjoyable to drive. It's the best of both worlds.